So it's 5:30 now, and we are due to begin this session. I formally welcome all our respected speakers for today and all our participants who have joined us for this session on responsible gaming for youth in India. This session is being organized by Youth for Responsible Gaming, which is an initiative by Policy Matrix. We have four speakers in our expert panel today who will be exploring various aspects of responsible gaming. And before doing that, we'll just have a brief outlook of the topic. So, responsible gaming is a very broad concept comprising several policies and requirements that apply to both the players as well as gaming corporations. It ensures that both parties adhere to the highest quality standards and provide a safe user experience that shields gamers from any potential risk. So Indian government has recently come up with various guidelines for responsible gaming, and gaming, as we know, is something which youth involves in, and India has a very large population of youth. So responsible gaming and gaming as a sector also is expected to grow in the next 2-3 decades. So beginning this session, I like to invite Prathamesh Churi for his address. And before his address, I'd like to briefly give an introduction of Dr. Prathamesh Churi. He is a faculty member in Computer Engineering Department in the School of Technology, Management and Engineering, NMIMS University. Currently, he is serving as Associate Editor of International Journal of Advances in Intelligent Informatics and International Journal of Innovative Teaching and Learning in Higher Education. He is also the research mentor in Cerebrarium, Germany, and has 70 plus research papers in national and international conferences and journals. He also holds 5 patents, including 2 Australian patents in the field of wireless sensor network, machine learning, and Internet of Things. I welcome you, sir, for this session, and thank you so much. Please go ahead, Prathamesh Churi, sir.
Okay, so good evening, all of you. I guess I am clearly audible to all of you.
Yes, sir, you are perfectly audible, sir.
Yeah, so let me just share my screen. And after sharing my screen and the presentation, I hope my presentation is visible. Right?
It's visible, sir.
Okay. So as the theme of today's webinar is responsible gaming for youth in India, and me being a computer engineer, we also teach students how to create games. Game design is one of elective course in NMIMS University, and we teach students as well as even I must say coders how to create games, including the game logic, including the user interface and all whatever technological stuff that is required to design a proper intelligent based game. Such kind of requirements and laboratories, labs, high-end labs, and expertise are available at NMIMS University. But making game is one part. But using the games and today's youth is moreover like we say that addicted to the games. So it is a responsibility as a teacher, as a researcher in the computing domain, and especially me being a teacher or a researcher in cybersecurity domain. My research area is more into cybersecurity and privacy. My few minutes talk will be based on what are the hazards of privacy concerns and security concerns when you play games, and while playing games, how to manage time, how to make sure that your personal information is not being shared, and if it is shared it will be in the safe hands. Even if you are not engineer or tech savvy, how to take a certain precautions which will not take more than a minute. So the whole focus of the presentation is responsible gaming, and responsible, what I mean is how to be responsible to protect your own personal data. So my main focus for this particular guest lecture is about privacy and the safety concerns while using games. So the roadmap goes in this way. So I will be just quickly introducing about the responsible gaming, gameplays, benefits of gaming, and then we quickly go through the common security and privacy concerns. How do I protect the personal information? What are the online safety and communication guidelines? I will also quickly talk about what Sir has recently, mentioned in his introductory speech about the government, Indian government guidelines. I am trying to map that presentation, my presentation with the guidelines, as well as I am also going to give my inputs on the data privacy concerns, because India is soon coming up with data privacy law also. Although in that law, the draft copy, what I have got from the internet, may be true, may not be true. Online gaming is not mentioned, but it's a high time that government should also look at privacy concerns in a 360-degree view. So I will also give guidelines on that. And then how do I balance my gaming and real life? And then some case studies which are not actually real one, but just as an example, because game is not being only played by 18, 19 years old boys. Nowadays, even young adult is the range which we expect for the gaming, which is 18 to 35 and up to sometimes 40 also. Nevertheless, never the age, but responsible gaming and that too of privacy concerns is an important point of discussion as well as important point of research. So gaming, as you know, has become an integral part of the lives and in Indian youth, and providing it provides entertainment. It also provides a learning opportunities. It also helps you to make social interaction with the strangers and other people. It builds basically kind of a good human relation, provided you're using a game for the better use. But it is also essential to address the security and privacy concerns, because most of the game developers, most of the gaming platforms ask us the personal information, which not only limited to first name, last name, email IDs, but it also banking details and other things. So what kind of trust we should build in, and how do I make sure that my information is still protected? We generally ignore the terms and conditions while downloading the games, and we do not use that. We do not read that, and we just click on agree. But it's a high time that, being a responsible Indian citizen, it is a high time that everyone must read terms and conditions and get clarification on that. This doesn't require any kind of technical knowledge. It's just that you agree to those terms and conditions and you have understood those terms and conditions. So in this presentation, we'll also explore the concept of responsible gaming and highlight the key strategies that can protect the security and privacy of young gamers. Nevertheless, the benefits of gaming are always in place. So first important benefit of gaming nowadays is a cognitive development. And it is important because the world needs a technology, and technology is created by researchers like us, researchers like you, coders like me. So, of course, for a good coder, for a good logic builder, our cognitive development is important. How we think, how we proceed, how we want game to play, how to make sure when we are playing games. Sometimes we lost in the real world. We go into the some kind of you can say artificial based world, and we feel that we are on that place and we are playing that game. So this kind of aesthetic feel or this kind of logic building requires a very high level coding. So we need some kind of cognitive development also to be built. So by playing game in a way, you also helps to you also creates a problem solving skills, problem solving attitude. If it is a team player game, then yes, you also have developing team building, leadership, decision making skills, or critical thinking. So cognitive development is one of the being most highest benefit of gaming, I must say. The skill acquisition. So many games promote creativity, teamwork, strategic planning, which helps us somewhat the other way around in our studies, academic research, and other things, provided you use the games responsibly. The next is social interaction. Online gaming platforms also provide an opportunity to collaborate, to communicate, and to build a very good friendship. It also sometimes relieve your stress, relaxation, because sometimes we do a very monotonous job. Sometimes becomes very boring, and your mind needs a relaxing. Your mind needs to see something different than what we are doing today. So stress relief and relaxation. So gaming can also serve as a form of entertainment and a way to unwind from daily pressures. But when I say benefit, every technology, every object, everything has some advantages with some disadvantages. So there are some, so like my fourth of the presentation is more over focus on the security and privacy concerns. So I'm only focusing on the security and privacy concerns, and my PhD study is also including a data privacy research. So I am more into protecting someone's personal data in any field. Like my in PhD, I'm doing protecting a personal data in a healthcare field. So patients, personal protecting patients' personal data I'm protecting. So while gaming provides a numerous benefit, it is crucial to be aware of the potential security concerns and privacy concerns also. There are a lot of cases we are hearing from the newspaper, from the news channel, that there are a lot of online scams and frauds are happening through online games. People easily, blindly trust on the gaming platforms. They give their data, and is somebody talking? Sorry, any doubt? Yeah, yeah,
Just a second, sir.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so some of the individuals may try to exploit young gamers through scams or maybe phishing attempts. Maybe somebody is sending you a very wrong link. That link appear to be a trustworthy link, but when you click on it, that link exploits your data, ask your personal data, and your personal data is at stake. The another case is here is cyberbullying and harassment. So in online gaming environments, youth may also encounter bullying, offensive language, or maybe harassment from other players. This case has been a lot, and we are listening to the newspaper and news channels. The personal data collection and privacy breaches. Games often collect personal information, which may be susceptible to unauthorized access and data breaches also. Or maybe if even if the game platform is asking you personal data, they assure you that their data is protected, but some other third party or maybe attacker can hack their system, their server, where all information or personal information is always at stake. And the last security and privacy concerns here is addiction and excessive screen time. Sometimes the excessive, although it is not directly a security and privacy concerns, but excessive gaming can also lead to neglecting other aspects of life, such as studies, physical health, social relationship. Okay. So regarding protecting personal information, because we always say that there is a difference between a security and privacy, and my moreover work into a privacy domain, and in online gaming there are a lot of privacy violation happens. So the major goal for my presentation is how do I protect a personal information. So how do I safeguard my personal information in gaming? So the first is, of course, even if it is a gaming platform, generally we keep strong and unique password for banking and other things, but we do not keep for the gaming. But please understand, if you are creating your account, you are giving such details, first name, last name, your details may also includes a banking details. A strong and a unique password is desired. A password consists of alphanumeric, uppercase, lowercase letters, and a long password is always desired, even if it is on a gaming platform. Try to keep changing password every 3 months because that's a better practice. Also, we should be cautious about sharing this personal information online, such as full name, address, contact details. Is it really needed? Is it really needed? Why are we giving this information? If we are not giving this information, will it harm? Will it not harm? That kind of understanding is required before creating account on a gaming platform. We should also avoid clicking on suspicious link just because of somebody saying click here to be in something 5 lakh rupees, 7 lakh rupees, and sometimes we generally ignore other things and we just click on this. But that clicking, a simple clicking, can be a triggering situation for most of the attackers. So therefore, while downloading the files, clicking on the suspicious link, we have to be very sure that you trust this source before clicking. If you don't know this source, it is better to avoid such practice. It is also good that every gaming platform comes up with some kind of updates, maybe regularly, monthly, 15 days, 1 month, 2 months. It is always better. Those updates sometimes are the patches, or maybe some kind of additional security concerns are also being implemented there. So regularly updating gaming software also helps to ensure security patches are installed in place. Regarding online safety and communication, so we have various strategies to promote online safety and responsible communication, which also includes utilizing the privacy settings. It is always good to have a parental control settings when we are playing the games. That will also limit the time, limit resources, and some kind of, so parent can also have a control on this. We should also encourage young gamers when they are playing the games. There are a lot of cursing language, or maybe abusive language, inappropriate behavior, nudity, all those kind of things are happening. Generally, youth is very mature enough, and generally they ignore this thing. They say that we are just playing games, let's play games. So they ignore such kind of things, but such harassment should not be ignored. Even a small report should be properly documented, sent or to the game administration or the platform moderators. If we have not started this movement, so let's start this movement, and let's encourage other young gamers also. If they face such kind of situation, they should not keep quiet, and they should immediately report this to game administrators or maybe platform moderators. We should also educate youth about the risk sharing personal information. Every gaming platform must have a 5 minute short video about responsible gaming. Every gaming platform should have a 2 to 3 minutes video about how to play games safely. What kind of difficulties you might be situating, and what to do in that case. A good gaming platform always gives this kind of cautious videos. Last but not the least, balancing gaming and real life. It is very important that gaming is not life. We have a lot of goals to achieve, a lot of goals to desire. Gaming is just building some kind of engagement for a few time. It also helps us to increase the cognitive development itself. It doesn't mean that they should be used 24 into 7. So we should be setting responsible time limits for gaming sessions and encourage breaks for the physical activity also, because physical activity is better for the health. For mental health, it might be gaming might be a good activity, but for the physical health, exercise, yoga, and some kind of sort of play, cricket, football, a physical one is required. Emphasize the importance of fulfilling your academic responsibilities if you are a student. If you are a parent, then your student's academic career is important. Then maintain those kind of social relationship or is also important offline. Okay, encourage your participation in non-gaming activities also, such as sports, hobbies, volunteering, or promoting well-rounded lifestyle. Here are some few case studies that I have listed. Those case studies are actually not real, but real case studies also you will find a lot in internet. You just have to search on case studies on responsible gaming. A lot of data breaching cases and hacking cases are happened on the online platform like Rockstar Game, EA Sports. These are such as the popular game making companies in US and UK. Even such big companies have suffered data loss or data breach, and a lot of personal information about the gamers has been hacked. Okay, so I have listed down 3 case studies. The first case study is based on the online gaming. A group of young gamers in India, let's say, fell victim to an online gaming scam where they unknowingly downloaded a malicious software, and that malicious software actually, capturing all the personal information. So malware allowed attackers to gain access to personal information about their gaming devices, login credentials, credit card details, and sensitive personal data. The attacker exploited this information, which can also lead to a financial loss later on, and you can see it is called as identity theft. This incident emphasized the importance of being cautious when downloading such kind of files or clicking on unwanted links which is not desired for you. The second case study is related to cyberbullying in multiplayer games, and this is very common nowadays, especially the games like PUBG or maybe kind of mission-based games. Such kind of when there will be a multiple team players are playing, there will be a use of harsh words, curse words, nudity, or some kind of harassment is always there. So the teenagers, so the second case we're talking about, a teenager in India experienced severe cyberbullying while playing a popular multiplayer game. Other player targeted this individual through offensive language, threats, harassment, and causing the significant emotional distress. A young gamer's personal information, including online profile, was maliciously then shared across all social media. That becomes a defamation of that particular person. So this case highlights the need of responsible gaming in practices, including reporting and blocking abusive users. Do not feel shame. You have to be very confident while if such activities are happening, immediately report to the game administrators or moderators. And last but not the least, the case study 3, this account hacking and the loss of personal data. So a young gamer in India had their gaming account hacked due a weak security practices such as using a common password. He has a one common password for all other social media platforms, and it is suggested that the password has to be very strong. So attacker gained unauthorized access to the account. It stole the game items and accessed the personal information linked to the account. So the compromised personal data was later used for targeted phishing attacks and identity theft attempts. So this case emphasizes on the importance of using strong password, enabling multi-factor authentication, and regularly monitoring securing game accounts to prevent unauthorized access and potential data loss. So thank you so much. Actually, India is also coming up with the data privacy law, and I'm sure that when the data privacy law is in practice, the government will also make sure that we'll make a new policy guidelines for the youth and online gaming, that how their data should be protected. Along with the youth, it is also necessary to set a strong guidelines for the game making companies, so that what kind of information are they collecting from the the gamers, what kind of information is useful for them, only those information is required, and such kind of policies has to be made. And in that case, if data breaching happens, some kind of fine, some kind of punishment, is some kind of legal action should be made compulsory, because in that way we can somewhat control the youth of this India who is playing the games. Thank you so much. um, I'm leaving this to the moderator of the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Prathamesh sir, for updating us on the various aspects of privacy and security. And there is something which I'll also like to add, and that is that there is one very beautiful website called privacykTools.io. And that website is something which can update any common person about things like password managers, 2FA, and there are many, many open source options for people. You need not pay for this, you just have to update yourself. And there are many such practices which one can do to safeguard himself or herself against such privacy thefts. Moving ahead, I'll also like to call Dr. Lalat Indu sir for his address. And before that, I'd like to give a brief introduction of sir. Dr. Lalat Indu is currently with Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, National Institute of Technology, Goa, where he is also serving as member BOG in charge of international relations, chairman training and placement, and coordinator startup center. I can hear a bit of noise in the background. Okay, it is just an echo which is being picked up. Moving ahead, Dr. Lalat is also an affiliate researcher of the Institute for Systems and Computer Engineering Technology and Science, Porto, Portugal. He was also a visiting scholar to the Laboratory of Physics and Complex Matter, École Polytechnique Federale de Lausanne, Switzerland, under Indo-Swiss PhD student exchange program in 2012. I welcome you, sir, to your address and hand over the session to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Siddharth. My voice is okay, Siddharth?
Yes, sir. Perfectly audible, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So at the outset, let me thank Abhishek Ranjan ji, and Siddharth, the organizers, for blessing me with this golden opportunity to interact with such a lovely, youth audience. To tell you very frankly, this is not my topic. In fact, I'm an electronic engineer by training. But I must thank Prathamesh for setting the background and offloading a lot of these backgrounds, which will certainly, help me to set my stage. So he has already set a background of, the very nice background of the topic. And to me, it was really very important, concern, because I'm already a father, and my son is, addicted to, this electronic gaming. So I thought definitely I should also, look into, the various aspect. And if at all, some of my findings could, in fact, benefit some of you, I'll be really happy. Friends, it goes without saying that, you have to pay a lawyer to open his mouth, and you have to pay a teacher to close his mouth, and fortunately I'm a teacher. But anyway, don't worry, Sunday evening I'm not going to bore you with too much of technology aspect. Rather, I'll keep things very simple, and mostly from the policy, or macroeconomics perspective. For example, Prathamesh has already gone deep into the topics, where he was dealing more of micro economic thing, but I will be taking looking at it from a macro perspective. So friends, before taking up responsible gaming, small background, understanding of the different types of gaming is, in fact, I guess it's relevant. And if you analyze the whole world of gaming, it falls broadly into two categories. One is game of chance, and another game of skill. And to tell you very frankly, I must acknowledge that some of these inputs are given by Siddharth, who helped me in preparing and tabulating all these content. So I must acknowledge that. So the way you can classify the whole human race into either male or female. Definitely there are transgenders, but definitely similarly we can broadly classify the whole world of gaming into either game of chance, game of skill. But there are also certain transgenders, with due respect to them, which is midway, which involves both this chance as well as skill. By game of chance, what I mean is, here the players, they have hardly any control over the game. It's more of a luck, a chance, and we can, even if it won't be completely appropriate, but mostly we can put them, these games, into the category of gambling. And so where in fact the users have hardly any control over the output, the final result of this game. And some of the examples are this slot machine, lottery games. They are the classic example of game of chance. And to tell you very frankly, friends, there are a lot of these, government regulations. The government has, in fact, put a lot of, regulations and advisories, while, somebody is playing them. And so we have to be extremely careful, in choosing and selecting one of those. But on the other hand, there is a, complete world of, game of skill, which in fact, involves human, intelligence, human expertise. And so in fact in those games in fact the ultimate result, the final results are more controlled by the human expertise or human intelligence. And so definitely they are more relevant, more useful about to the whole human race. And then some of the examples are this poker game, the bridge game, and the chess, which probably most of us are familiar with. Friends, to tell you very frankly, it reminds me of a example that Surf Excel example. Daag अच्छे होते हैं क्या? तो yes, daag अच्छे होते हैं. So similarly, not all gamings are bad. In fact, there are definitely some great aspect of this e-gaming, which Prathamesh has already talked about. Like for example, entertainment, skill development, and all that. And friends, you will be very happy to know. In fact, if some of you are planning to make a career in Indian Armed Forces, there is a test called PABT test, pilot aptitude battery test. And in your whole life, you are only allowed only one time to appear for it. You have to clear it in your first chance, otherwise you're gone. And To my understanding, most of it, the PABT test, it is online. It's based on something to do with this online gaming, and so definitely the online gaming can get you through this PABT test as well. So now, friends, having understood, and then as we have already classified the world of gaming into game of chance, game of skill, but there are certain games which involves both of it. For example, the poker, where game of cards, playing it demands great skill set, but getting the right set of cards is a matter of chance. And so there are a lot of some of, as I said it in the very beginning, like you can classify the whole human race as either male and female, but there are some transgenders. So there are games which involves both game, which are demanding both the chance factor as well as the skill factor. Friends, with this background or some preliminary understanding of the gaming world, let's now try to see for responsible gaming, because the topic of our today's this webinar is responsible gaming in for youth or in India, in fact. So we cannot shy away that there are multiple stakeholders who are responsible for ensuring responsible gaming, which are safe, which are which protects our which we have already listened to data protection and other things. So for responsible gaming, it's not, so to tell you very frankly, there are multiple stakeholders. For example, we the players, the individuals who are playing it, the gaming operators, or the providers, those who have built the game, which probably Prathamesh was responsible, because the technologists, the gaming manufacturers, so they make a lot of innovations and iterations, and they evolve with all this. So they are also one of the important stakeholders in safe gaming. In fact, one of my students, he is now doing internship, with Samsung. And yesterday only, he was telling, sir, Samsung is investing a lot of, time and energy in, developing, evolving with, features which contributes or which will lead towards, responsible gaming. For example, which has better scope for concentration, improvement, and so on and so forth. So I let me not intrude into their personal space. So there are multiple stakeholders, the individual players, the gaming operators. In fact, there are a lot of these government regulators, which also time to time the state government, the central government, regulators are also there. The MITI, the Ministry of Information Technology, and definitely now that the cyber security is a very big matter of concern before the whole world. Palo Alto, the leading company. In fact, the government of India has also floated a mission mode project on this data security, privacy thing, concern. So there are multiple stakeholders who can or who are supposed to contribute towards this the world of responsible gaming. So let's try to analyze very quickly, because we cannot do anything in terms of what the government or the regulators do, but certainly as an individual, the game users, and let's say the gaming operators, we can definitely demand certain things from the gaming operators. So as an individual, in fact, friends, there are a few things which we are supposed to know. For example, the legal framework. For example, before picking up or playing or indulging ourselves into a certain game, we should know the legal framework of it. For example, there are certain games which are banned, or which have great limitations or regulations, and it also varies from state to state. So we should be very much aware of these concerns. Now one more concern is some of these gaming do involve payments, and so friends, we should be aware of secure payment processing. For example, in some of the cases, your very private data, like the credit card info, or you have to make some sort of online payment and all that. So you should be very much careful in terms of or rather you should be a very responsible towards these payment aspect. One important concern here is also self-awareness. By self-awareness, what I mean is For example, if you should be knowing yourself well before indulging into these gaming business. So it may sound little ridiculous. You'll say, "Ki, Arey Baba, I'm playing games for entertainment, I'm playing games for relaxation, I'm playing games for recreation." But again, you want me to involve my mind again, my brain, and your my consciousness. So yes, friends, we should be little selective, little careful in choosing them, because our responsible behavior will have great ramification in future. For example, let's say you should know your emotional quotient. How, if at all you are little emotional, you get addicted to certain things very easily. So you should refrain, or you should be very balanced in your approach in indulging into these the gaming world. A risk assessment, you should also do bit of risk assessment. Just it's not that you have a fancy tempting advertisement, it is promising. I also see whenever in with along with your emails, you see in Rami, Jungly Rami, somebody won 2 crore, somebody won 5 crore. The advertisements may be a little tempting, and it's not that we just plunge into or jump into those things. Rather, we have to have some amount of risk assessment, and then only we just pick up, or we just indulge into that. And friends, privacy protection, that's something which is definitely is a matter of great concern. In fact, Prathamesh also talked about this data encryption. That's something you should be very responsible in feeding your Aadhaar card number, or your PAN card number, or your online banking credentials into banking, and into your this gaming world. You should be extremely careful, cautious, while feeding these data into the online gaming portals. Friends, one important concern, let me stop with that. That's your self and exclusion. You must have seen that in Kaun Banega Karodpati, at different stages, the host keeps on telling, either you have got the chance of quitting the game, so, or you can continue. So again, as a user, in fact, it's my right of self exclusion at any stage. So that's something you should ensure. It should not be a binding, or it should not be a liability from a user's perspective. That's something you should be very careful in assessing before indulging yourself into some platform, gaming platform. So friends, they were some of the important concerns from a user's perspective, from a player's perspective. We as an individual also should demand certain things from the gaming operators, or the game providers. For example, there are a lot of these registered gaming operators. So we must demand a few responsible behaviors from them. For example, protection of minors. So those which are, so in fact we should safeguard the rights and the concerns of the vulnerable section of the society. So the gaming operators should have should behave in fact responsible for that. So they must also have certain social responsibility, like CSR. All of us know, any company making good profit, they need to pay back to the society in the form of CSR, the corporate social responsibility. So do the gaming platform. And one more important demand we should have from the gaming operators is this constant or continuous improvement. By that, what I mean is we should not, year after year, we should not play the same version of the game. Rather, with suitable user feedback, the gaming operators should in fact must bring in some sort of metamorphosis, or they should but just change or improvise the gaming platform. And compliance is something which the gaming operators should stick to, or must in fact must comply. They must comply to the different government regulations, the government guidelines from time to time. And as I said it in the very beginning, like the different state governments, they have their own regulations, and so do the central government as well. So friends, with this small brief discussion, we are definitely we are now aware that there are multiple stakeholders when it comes to responsible gaming in India, whether it's a user, the individual user, or the gaming platform operators, or the different regulators, and definitely through behaving sensibly, we can ensure responsible gaming. So, friends, finally, I just thought of sharing two important take homes which I feel we must inculcate in our behavior. In fact, we should use. In fact, in our day-to-day life, wherever we see this scenario or situation, we must attend to it. For example, number one thing is so we have to behave responsibly. By that, what I mean is within our family, within our friend circle, if at all somehow we are finding that somebody is gradually getting addicted into this online gaming business, so certainly it's our moral responsibility of cautioning them, and it's motivated by the beep of my car. In fact, just I've seen that whenever I'm just increasing the speed limit beyond 80 kilometers, so the car gives me some sort of beep. So similarly, friends, whenever we see that some of our friends or some of our in our circle, they are falling prey to the negative aspect of this online gaming. If he is using it positively, it's fine, but if at all he's catching up the negative aspect of this online gaming, definitely we must take this moral responsibility of cautioning him or her, and we should see that somehow gradually he is taken away, and that's the case. A case study, let me share it from my own son's case, who was very strongly, he won't eat without this looking into some sort of stupid game, and so gradually with the help of my mother-in-law, my wife, and me, so all together somehow we could make him gradually withdraw out of it, so that way we have to share that important responsibility, number one. And second thing, friends, it doesn't make sense of just simply crying, seeing the negative aspect of the gaming. As I would definitely like to collaborate with Prathamesh, and then probably give some of my inputs in developing, because friends, always whenever there is a crisis, there is a concern, social concern, there is a scope of innovation, there is a scope of bringing a solution to that concern, and that solution can definitely transform, because I'm also the chairman of training placement, as well as the TBI, the Technology Business Incubator of NIT Goa. So I thought of giving you a small clue of just transforming this challenge or concern into a business opportunity. Friends, how about developing a module or an app in your mobile phone or your computer, where if somebody is uninterruptedly is using a certain software or a gaming platform, actually primarily for a certain beyond a threshold timing, there is some sort of alarm, or there is some sort of reminder which goes to the user, yes baba, you are probably crossing that limit, let's stop here, so because once you are indulged, for example, we even at times we see movie, and we just simply lose track of the time. So but how about developing an app or a software which definitely gives us a regular repetitive reminder, and so that it will in fact help or come out of the negative aspect of this online gaming, and it will behave just it will help us behave more responsibly. So friends, ultimately, just to conclude, responsible online gaming simply doesn't mean it's not about minimizing the risk associated with gambling or this online gaming, but also about promoting the positive aspects of gaming, such as entertainment, socializing, and community building. So definitely, friends, let's together work towards the positive aspect of this online gaming business, and then keep it in mind our responsibility towards towards this responsible gaming in India. So thank you very much. It's mere a beginning of our long association, and I do hope we'll keep in touch, and then gradually try to build up, and then try to address this concern and challenge in India, and hopefully you will be able to positively contribute towards it. So thank you very much once again, the organizers, for blessing me with this golden opportunity. Thank you, Siddharth.
Thank you, sir, for beautifully elaborating on this topic. And there is something which I like to just add, and that is on the application of Aadhaar, the UIDAI. There is an option of locking the biometric as well as locking the Aadhaar as well. So once we lock the Aadhaar, there will be no SMS which can be issued to our number of Aadhaar verification or eKYC until and unless we unlock the Aadhaar from the application. And same goes true for the biometric as well. Less people know about these features, but these are security features which the government has provided in the application. And when we talk about debit cards or credit cards which are being used for payments, there is something called as virtual debit card, which every bank, I think, gives the option of. Like I use a Bank of Baroda application, it gives the option of virtual card wherein one can limit their expenses to 10,000 say rupees, and that virtual card can be used just for online purposes only. So these are few of the tricks which people can use. Moving ahead, sir, I'll now like to invite Santosh Dubey, sir, who is a journalist and author of a wonderful book called Show or Substance, Bihar since 1990. He is associated with child rights activism and has a keen interest in policy. In fact, his authored book is all about the policy decisions taken in the state of Bihar since 1990. I welcome Santosh Dubey, sir, for his address, and over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Siddharth, and I hope I'm audible to everyone. Am I audible?
Yes,
Can
sir.
you please
Perfectly audible, sir.
Thank you so much. And I just to start with, I thank you, Policy Matrix, which really initiated to collect people and gather people and speak on this particular topic, and that is responsible gaming. Much has been spoken by Prathamesh, Churi ji, and Lalat bhai. They really spoke very well on responsible gaming. I believe all the technical aspects have been covered, like uh, Prathamesh ji spoke very elaborately on the technical issues. He was very he spoke very widely on data protection, especially the how to protect data which is used in the gaming and all. At the same time, Lalat ji speak on awareness, risk, and payment and other things. So much has been covered. So I will not try to repeat the things which have been already covered, but I will try कि I cover other aspects which has not been discussed yet. See, friends, responsible. हाँ, उससे पहले मैं एक चीज बता दूं आप लोगों को कि I'm not an expert of technical expert who has an expertise of responsible gaming and topics like this. But rather, I'm just working in community on child protection, and Siddharth has already elaborated. I have written a book on Bihar since 1990, and which completely speaks about the political scenarios of Bihar between the two governments, that is Laluji and Nitish Kumarji. Okay, anyway, so I'll just try to bring certain inputs, important points from the community, which really affects the children and members of the community. See, responsible gaming by its name only. Uh, we, we tend to understand that there is a need to bring responsibility in the online gaming pattern. Government has recently government brought some draft on its rules, which clearly mentions that responsible gaming, online gaming, the gambling part. It was as Lalati spoke on the points of online gaming. One is game of skill and game of chance. The government is in the mood of never including the game of chance in its online gaming role. And of course, it's a subject of state, and it varies from state to state. Like in some states, it is legal, and in certain states, it is illegal. So I'll just try to bring up points which directly affects children and vulnerability to section of society, and how it affects and how to overcome this. Effects. So friends, see, when it's as we all know that it's time when everything on the online platform is getting momentum with a very high speed. Be it gaming, be it selling, be it gambling. Am I
Sorry to interrupt, sir, but your voice is getting cut off. What I'll suggest is that you can switch
yeah,
off
yeah.
your video and we can go ahead with the audio only.
Okay, okay. Am I audible?
Yes, you are perfectly audible, sir. Just switch off your video so that
Okay,
the
fine.
bandwidth allows it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, right. Okay, okay. Thank you. So as I was going, that how online gaming is affecting the vulnerable sections of society. Like, see, what we are seeing, that Lalat ji was also mentioning this. We can see the children at our home also, they are into so much of addiction of online gambling that they are not able to concentrate on their education. They are not able to concentrate on their health, hygiene, etc. Like, I'm telling about myself only. I have 5 years old daughter. When she comes to the dining table, she tries to take a mobile phone, and either she will prefer for the gaming or any other kind of video, and if it is not allowed to her, she tells, I will not take my food. So it's a kind of addiction that children are getting into, and with a very rapid speed. So apart from this, I just add that how we can overcome with certain with additional problems, right? We need to we need to train our children, we need to teach our children about the good and ill points of the online gaming. Good, like Lalatji and Prathamesh bhai spoke on this, that it really enhances our mental ability. It's fine. It really enhances our technical aspects. It's also fine. But at the same time, children when they get into the habit of using cell phones or laptop computer, and that too for online gaming, it takes much of time, much of precious times, and they are not able to concentrate on their education. It really enhances poor social skills. It really time away from family. They don't when they grow elder, and they are not into the habit of behaving well with their family members, spending time with the family. So some way or the other, they are not getting nurtured to be better in the society with their family. At the same time, they have certain they develop a kind of problem in their behavior. They develop sometimes, we feel, I personally feel, as I work in community, I feel they develop aggressive thoughts. They get aggressive because they are completely mentally completely into the game. And when we ask them to you know convert their mind from the game, they just get aggressive. So I will just for I just games which are which are getting vanishing from our day-to-day life. Like, as we were children, just remember our past, our childhood days. When we were children, we had a lot of scopes on games. Like, we had cricket, we had football, we had volleyball, etc. And as we our next generation, like our children, they are at this particular age, they are not much into the physical games. Rather, they have developed the habit of spending times on laptops, computers, and mobile phones. This is really affecting the mental and physical ability of the children. And even psychiatrists say that much excessive use of cell phone, laptops, and any online platforms. It directly affects the mental and physical ability of a children, especially the growing children, underage children. I'll now speak about the children who are vulnerable, like below 18 children. Once they develop a habit of depending upon online platforms, they have to struggle very hard to come out of that and get into the mainstream of this family or the society or the offline things. Like uh, what we feel today, that children are not much into the cricketing, much into footballing, and it really develops certain physical problems like a spinal problem, like eyes related problem. You can better find that children of the age of 7 8 years, 10 years, they use spectacles at their eyes. They have a spinal problem. Does it really make sense that children of 13 years have a spinal problem? It's just because excessive use of online platform, and definitely it includes the online gaming. Not only online gaming, but it also includes. So as Giriji was speaking about behavior impact. I'll just say कि awareness is a good solution to it, and rather I'll just say that this should be included in the syllabus of the at least at least in the classes of up to 10. Like classroom programs should include the ill and good effects of online gaming. It should talk very widely about the online gaming and its impacts, how it is affecting children, how it is affecting their affecting in the sense good and bad both. Let me tell you. So it should come into the syllabus of at least standard 10 and below classes, and it will what it will do, it will sorry, it will definitely grow a thinking in the minds of youngsters that these things are being taught in our classroom programs, and they like what happens at a 10 or 12 years, 15 years earlier, there was a lot of murmuring about sexual education. And when I'll just say, when condom was new to the community children, they had a very whispering over what is condom. Do you know what is condom? Do you know what is condom? What is the usage of this? At the same time, when it was included in the education, and it became a general thing today. So I'll just say that government is doing all its bits. In the recent draft, government has very well highlighted that SROs to include multiple stakeholders, and the multiple stakeholders will ensure that in India, online gaming will exclude the game of chance, and it will have its broader things on game of skill. So it's very clear that India is not going to legalize game of chance, and it will have it will give proper shape to game of skill. Politically, what happens, what has been the trend in India, that there have been many things which have not been legalized by the government, and it has not been advocated by any of the political parties, but things have been parallelly running, and the thing which has been parallelly running, that has adverse effect on the society, be it the children, be it people, be it any age group of India. So I'll just say that as government has initiated the initiated that SROs to ensure that no game of chance to continue at any cost in India. Uh, but what we are seeing that for last at least 5 to 6 years, especially after COVID, startups have been much appreciated, developed in India, and online gaming is also a good opportunity for the startups. Definitely, it's very good. It gives good sign to our economy but there are many challenges as well. What are those challenges? I'll just ask my friends. I'm not asking. I'll just say that there has been rules, IT rules to take things on social media, and we all know the real condition that what is happening. Are we not seeing that social media are never in control, are not in control? So at the same time, there has been rules for online gaming, and there will be more amendments to it. It is very sure that there will be more amendments to it, but it will always be a challenge that those rules will be able to cover the challenge or not. It will really be still be a challenge for us, right? At the same time, I'll just say that what is the guarantee that these rules will ensure that no duplicacy take place, no targeting to the vulnerable children, at least especially the below 18 children. So there are many challenges which which will keep us concerned, and we will keep discussing, we will keep coming with good points, good things to make the gaming responsible. uh, and I'll just cover, I'll take 1 more minute and I'll just say that awareness is really required for responsible gaming. And targeting or advertising has also a big role, for making the game responsible. Like, see what we have been seeing, everyone sitting here have been seeing, uh, गेम खेलो करोड़ों कमाओ, पैसा लगाओ करोड़ों कमाओ. What is this? These are just the attractive words, attractive advertisement which very easily target the vulnerable children, and ask them to involve in the online gaming. And many of the time we have seen in newspapers that children get trapped into this, they lose a good money, they get into the habit of stealing money from their parents, borrowing money from relatives, friends. So these things are really not good signs for the proper and positive development of children. So I'll just say that advertisement should be appropriate. It should be in a very focused direction that that never misleads child. I'm speaking more about child because children are the most vulnerable section of society, which get attached towards anything very easily, right? And one more thing, that self exclusion, practice of self exclusion should be much it should be brought under the practice of awareness. Like, one has if one has to exclude himself from the game at any point, there should be an option, and mandatory option, that he or she gets excluded from the game at that particular time when he or she desires. And one more thing, that we have to keep our children in a proper watch, that they are not very much involved in these things. As I have already said, that online gaming is very, it is also good, it is very, it is also required, but we should also ask our children, we should also encourage our children for physical activity, physical games. And then only a balanced gaming, a responsible gaming can be seen, and it can be introduced between among the children, among the youngsters of India. So, and apart from this, I had prepared my notes, but I'm thankful to Prathamesh and Giri ji, that they have covered it very well, so I'm not going to repeat it. Friends, thank you very much, and that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I'm old enough to remember a time in 1996 when Sachin Tendulkar was a very big name associated with cricket. And I remember that he refused advertisement of tobacco products, and he even played the 1996 World Cup without having the tobacco brand on his back, which something other players did because it was an official sponsor of the game. I now see that many players who are stars endorse such applications of money making, like you have already said, the game of chance and things like that. And there is something which the young stars should consider, that their advertisement maybe have a impressionable effect on the youth. Moving ahead, our next speaker for this session is Priyank Dwivedi, who is a senior sub-editor in Aaj Tak Digital. He works on data stories, explainers, and in-depth news. He holds a bachelor's and master's degree in mass communication from the coveted Makhanlal Chaturvedi National University of Journalism, and has an interest in data and research. Apart from politics, he likes to work on business and legal news stories. And prior to joining Aaj Tak Digital, he was also associated with Dainik Bhaskar Digital for a long time. I'll now like to invite Mr. Priyank Dwivedi ji for his address. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Siddharth. Am I audible? आवाज आ रही है?
Yes, perfectly audible, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. बाकी सबको बोल ही चुके हैं सब लोग, तो मैं कुछ थोड़ी सी बातें रखना चाहूंगा। सबसे पहले तो शुरू करने से पहले मैं कुछ 3-4 आंकड़े हैं, क्योंकि एज अ डेटा जर्नलिस्ट काम करता हूँ मैं, तो कुछ आंकड़े रखना चाहूंगा पहले। तो जो देश में हमारे ऑनलाइन गेमिंग का बाजार है, वो 2020-22 में लास्ट ईयर $2.5 अरब के पार पहुंच चुका है। 2016 में ये $54 करोड़ के आसपास का था, और 2027 तक ये $8.5 अरब के पार पहुंचने की इसकी उम्मीद है। दूसरा डेटा ये कहता है कि 2010 में हमारे देश में जो ऑनलाइन गेमर्स थे, उनकी संख्या 2 करोड़ ही थी। 2028 में 25 करोड़ तक के आसपास पहुंच गई है, और इस समय कम से कम 30 से 40 करोड़ के आसपास होगी। लेकिन और इतना ऑनलाइन गेमिंग बढ़ क्यों रही है? इसकी 2 वजह हैं। पहला तो ये कि 70 करोड़ से ज़्यादा इंटरनेट यूजर्स हैं, और दूसरा ये कि 60 करोड़ से ज़्यादा स्मार्टफोन यूजर्स हैं। ये कुछ आंकड़े मैंने इसीलिए रखे हैं आप लोगों के सामने, ताकि पता चले कि ऑनलाइन गेमिंग का बाजार हमारे देश में कितना बड़ा है और कैसे बढ़ रहा है। लेकिन तब भी देखा जाए तो इसके बावजूद कोई बहुत ज़्यादा कोई कानून है नहीं हमारे देश में उसको लीगल या रेगुलेट करने के लिए। हाल ही में जरूर सरकार ने कुछ ऑनलाइन गेमिंग को लेकर और सट्टेबाजी और जुए से जुड़े जो उनको प्रतिबंधित किया है, लेकिन वो एक तरह से नाकाफी ही कहूँगा मैं। तो सबसे पहले मैं बात ये करना चाहूँगा कि ऑनलाइन गेमिंग पर प्रतिबंध जो अभी सरकार ने लगाया है, क्या वो सभी तरह के गेम पर है? तो असल में सुप्रीम कोर्ट का एक जजमेंट आया था मार्च 2020 में। उसमें ऑनलाइन गेमिंग को इन्होंने 2 कैटेगरी में बांटा था। पहला था गेम ऑफ स्किल, दूसरा था गेम ऑफ चांस। गेम ऑफ स्किल यानी कि जिसमें आप अपनी जानकारी या नॉलेज के हिसाब से पैसा कमाते हैं, दांव लगाते हैं। ड्रीम 11 और दूसरे जो फैंटेसी स्पोर्ट्स हैं वो इसी कैटेगरी का हिस्सा है। दूसरा है गेम ऑफ चांस, यानी जिसमें आप अपनी किस्मत के भरोसे पैसा लगाते हैं। यही हमारे देश में सट्टेबाजी, इसी को ही हम आम भाषा में सट्टेबाजी कहते हैं। वैसे तो देखा जाए तो 1867 में कानून बना था अंग्रेजों के टाइम पे, पब्लिक गैम्बलिंग एक्ट। इसके तहत हमारे देश में सट्टेबाजी या जुआ अपराध है। लेकिन होता यह है कि सट्टेबाजी और जुआ जो है वो स्टेट का सब्जेक्ट हो जाते हैं। स्टेट गवर्नमेंट चाहे तो अपने हिसाब से प्रतिबंध लगा सकती है, चाहे तो अपने हिसाब से इसको लीगल कर सकती है। जैसे कि देखा जाए तो गोवा, दमन, तेलंगाना, सिक्किम, यहाँ पे सट्टेबाजी, जुआ हुआ सब लीगल है, लेकिन बाकी कई राज्यों में इलीगल है। दूसरा, मैं अब ऑनलाइन गेमिंग की बात करने से पहले एक थोड़ी सी कुछ अपने बारे में एक्सपीरियंस शेयर करता हूँ। ऑनलाइन गेमिंग की लत जो होती है वो बहुत खराब होती है। मैंने ही जब कॉलेज टाइम में ही आईफोन खरीदा गेम खेला, और उसकी लत मुझे इतनी बुरी लग गई थी कि मैं कॉलेज से छुट्टी लेके या जल्दी छुट्टी गेम खेलता रहा। बाद में फिर मैंने अपना फोन दूर रखना शुरू किया, उससे दूर। तो असल में जो ऑनलाइन गेमिंग है, WHO ने इसे गेमिंग डिसऑर्डर कहा है। ये एक तरह का गेमिंग डिसऑर्डर है, इसलिए इससे बचना बहुत जरूरी है। आखिर में एक ये बात करूंगा कि रिस्पॉन्सिबल गेमिंग कैसी होनी चाहिए इंडिया में। तो एक होना सबसे पहला जो पॉइंट है वो है सेल्फ अवेयरनेस, यानी कि गेम खेलने वाले को पता होना चाहिए कि वो क्या खेल रहा है, उसके नफा नुकसान की उसको जानकारी होनी चाहिए। ये नहीं कि शौक में खेला खेल कर दिया और बस खेलते जा रहे हैं, तो बाद में जब फंस जाए तो बोलते कि हमें तो पता है इस बारे में। दूसरा होना चाहिए कि नाबालिगों को ऑनलाइन गेमिंग से जितना दूर रखा जाए उतना सही है, और इसके लिए सिर्फ परिवार ही जिम्मेदार नहीं है, बल्कि गेमिंग कंपनियां ही हैं, उनकी भी इसमें जिम्मेदारी बनती है। उन्हें ट्रांसपेरेंट होना चाहिए, उन्हें अपने गेम से जुड़े सारे खतरे, सारे रिस्क, सारे फैक्टर्स के बारे में पहले ही बताना चाहिए। तीसरा होना चाहिए कि पेमेंट सिस्टम का तरीका। आमतौर पर ये देखा जाता है कि लोग पेमेंट करते हैं और फिर धोखाधड़ी वगैरह का शिकार हो जाते हैं, इस कारण में फ्रॉड हो जाता है उन लोगों के साथ। एज अ जर्नलिस्ट मैंने कई ऐसे सारे मामले देखे हैं जिसमें ऑनलाइन गेमिंग में जब आदमी फंसता है तो उसका सिर्फ वो अपना ही नहीं बल्कि दूसरे का, अपने परिवार का भी नुकसान करता है। जैसे आपको याद होगा कि 3 साल पहले कर्नाटक से एक न्यूज आई थी, उसमें एक बच्चे ने अपने पिता का पहले पैर पैर काटा, फिर उसका सिर धड़ से अलग कर दिया, सिर्फ इसलिए क्योंकि उसके पिता पबजी खेलने से मना कर दिया था। और ऐसी ही एक और खबर आई थी यूपी से 2017 में। 17 साल का एक लड़का था, उसने इसीलिए सुसाइड कर ली थी क्योंकि उसकी माँ ने पबजी खेलने के लिए इंटरनेट का रिचार्ज नहीं करवाया था। ऐसे बहुत सारे मामले हमारे बीच में आते रहते हैं। इसी कारण से WHO ने इसको एक मानसिक रोग कहा है। लेकिन अब ये बात उठती है कि आखिर इसकी लत लग कैसे जाती है। जैसे मैंने अभी आपको अपना एग्जांपल दिया कि मैं भी खुद ऑनलाइन गेमिंग का एक तरह से शिकार हो चुका हूँ। मैं बहुत खेलता था, आज भी मेरे फोन में है, लेकिन मैं अब खेलता नहीं हूँ क्योंकि ऑफिस का काम होता है। तो असल में इसके दो बड़े कारण होते हैं ऑनलाइन गेमिंग की लत लगने के। पहला होता है अचीवमेंट, दूसरा होता है मोटिवेशन। अचीवमेंट यानी कि ऑनलाइन गेमिंग में बहुत सारे चैलेंजेस होते हैं, यही बच्चों को अट्रैक्ट करते हैं, खासकर कि जो नाबालिग है या 25 से कम है। आजकल तो 30 तक मान सकते हैं, 25-30 के आसपास में लोग इस सब में अट्रैक्ट हो जाते हैं। ऑनलाइन गेमिंग में अक्सर लेवल्स को क्रॉस करना होता है, स्टेज पार करना होता है। इससे बच्चे मोटिवेट होते हैं कि हम जितना ज्यादा लेवल क्रॉस करेंगे, जितना ज्यादा स्टेज पार करेंगे, उतना ज्यादा हमारी आमने सामने दोस्तों के सामने हमारी वैल्यू बढ़ेगी। इन सबसे मोटिवेट होते हैं। सॉरी। और जो अचीवमेंट है, मोटिवेशन है, इस कारण बनते हैं। यही कारण है। एक बात और ये करना चाहता था कि ऑनलाइन गेमिंग को रेगुलेट करने की इसलिए भी हमारे देश में जरूरत है क्योंकि अभी हमारे देश में डेटा प्रोटेक्शन को लेकर कोई कानून है नहीं। बिल जरूर पड़ा है लेकिन अभी कानून उसमें बना नहीं है। इससे बहुत सारे खतरे होते हैं, प्राइवेसी को खतरा होता है, नेशनल सिक्योरिटी को खतरा होता है। 2020 में जब गलवान वाला पूरा मामला चला था तो इंडियन गवर्नमेंट ने बहुत सारी चीनी एप्स को बैन किया था। उसमें पबजी और बहुत सारे ऑनलाइन गेम्स भी थे। इन्हें नेशनल सिक्योरिटी के लिए खतरा बताया था क्योंकि होता क्या है ना कि इन एप्स के जरिए जासूसी होने का खतरा बहुत सारा बढ़ जाता है। दूसरी बात ये होती है कि ये जो ऑनलाइन गेमिंग होती है, एप्स होती है, ये आपके कैमरा, माइक्रोफोन, लोकेशन, इन सब का एक्सेस मांगती है, जिस कारण आपकी प्राइवेसी भी खतरे में पड़ जाती है। डेटा लीक का खतरा बढ़ जाता है। और बाकी सब तो बहुत कुछ बोल चुके हैं कि मैं बहुत ही कम बोलूंगा। लास्ट में बस इतना ही कहना चाहूंगा कि रिस्पॉन्सिबल गेमिंग इसलिए जरूरी है क्योंकि इसका ज्यादातर वही लोग शिकार होते हैं। युवा हो रहा है, हम जैसे लोग हो रहे हैं, बच्चे हो रहे हैं। ये वही लोग हैं जो कल का भविष्य है।
Thank you, sir.
थैंक यू
Thank you
सिद्धार्थ।
for your thank you. And we have many of the participants, and if any of the participant can will like to ask their questions, they can unmute themselves momentarily and ask their questions, or they can also type their questions in the chat box, and we will be taking up those questions. Moving ahead, there is one question which I like to ask Dr. Lalat Indu sir, and that is that his observation that kids are more addicted to the screens. So like I also have a kid in my home and he is also addicted to the screens. So is there any sort of parental lock or things like that which we can use on our phones so that even in our absence our kids cannot use our phones intended, because kids nowadays are very smart. They keep track of the patterns, the lock patterns, the lock numbers and things like that. So because he is from the Department of Electronics and Communication, so is there any tips, trips or tricks which he can suggest to us? Thank you, sir. Your voice is not audible, sir. I think there is a network issue. I can see that Dr. Lalat sir has unmuted himself, but at the same time his voice is not coming through. We'll just wait for 10 seconds. Sir, if you can unmute yourself. Yeah, I can see that you have unmuted, sir, but your voice is not coming through. No problem, sir. We'll figure this out. There's another question which I like to ask to Santosh Dubey, sir, and because he has mentioned that he has an experience of working directly with the stakeholders, directly with the community. So we have an impression uh, living in the cities that smartphones are not readily available in the rural areas. But uh, I have traveled to rural areas and I have seen that even in rural areas, the penetration of a smartphone has increased. At the same time, many of the applications are now available in the local language. So there is no language barrier in using any of the applications. So is the addiction of gaming or is the addiction of a smartphone as big a problem in the rural and let's say tier 2 cities as we see it in the urban areas? If Santosh sir can elaborate on this. I think Santosh sir is away. No issues. I'll take this opportunity to thank all our expert resource persons for this webinar. Dr. Lalat Giri, Prathamesh Churi, Santosh Dubey, and Priyank Dwivedi sir for their highly informative session on responsible gaming for youth in India. I sincerely hope that all the participants attending this session must have learned immensely from it. And we again thank our resource person for taking out time on a Sunday and giving a great presentation over the subject. I'll also like to thank our director, Mr. Akash Singh, under whose guidance today's session was organized. With these words, on behalf of Youth for Responsible Gaming and Policy Matrix, I'd like to express our sincere thanks to all the academicians, research scholars, and students who have joined us today. We will continue to organize such sessions because gaming, we understand, is something which needs to be taken to all the users of it to make them aware of any of the bad practices which they might indulge into. So this is one of the many sessions which we are hosting today. And with the due permission of our respected panelists and all our participants, we will now bring this session to a close. Thank you.